No self-hate, self-love embrace, unconditional forgiveness, self-forgiveness, self-regulate, watch for the snake of self-hate. No self-hate, no self-hate. No self-hate, no self-hate. Accelerating the evolution of human emotional intelligence. It's about you, me, us, we can touch the sky, we can sell the seeds. We are in the pursuit of self-peace. We educate ourselves in our lifetime in pursuit of all we can be. Our lights shine at the same time. We are of the universe, is one in the same mind, on the same timeline. Your success is mine, my success is yours. If you invest the time, evolution is yours. The clock's ticking, can't waste another minute. I must evolve, they must evolve, we must evolve. Our emotional intelligence, human love is our only relevance. Let me hear you yell it, I can't hear you yelling it. No self-hate, you are your everything, you are my everything. We are our everything, we are prepared for anything and everything. I'm so great, you're so great, we're so great. No self-hate, no self-hate. I love me, you love you, we love we. We exist individually in a group. This is true, there's only one group. Me and you, we'll see it through. Be this true, where the true. Love thyself first and elevate. Accelerate the evolution of human emotional intelligence. No
Disclaimer: No Self-Hate is a mental health awareness platform, not a licensed therapy provider or certified psychological organization. All content is for educational and informational purposes only and should not be considered medical advice or a substitute for professional mental health care. If you are in crisis or need immediate support, please contact a licensed mental health provider or call, text 988 for the Crisis Lifeline, US only. Some topics may include sensitive mental health themes. Viewer discretion is advised. This channel may include brief use of copyrighted material under Fair Use, U.S. Copyright Law, Section 107, for commentary, education, and discussion.
Welcome to No Self-Hate, Season 1, Episode 7, Part 1 of 5, What is Accountability? My name is Kevin, and I will be your host for today's episode. Now, one of the most important parts of accelerating our emotional intelligence is learning how to be consistently accountable to ourselves, to our family, to our coworkers, to our classmates, as leaders, and overall at a societal level to our communities. Have you ever watched someone refuse to take responsibility for something where they were like dodging and ducking and pointing fingers and placing blame everywhere else other than where it should be, where in the shared reality, if 10 people witnessed this person do this thing, they would all say, hey, you're wrong for doing this thing. But the person was not able to come to the reality that they were wrong, or even yourself, right? There have been times that I have been extremely unaccountable, right? And I can honestly say no one's ever sat down with me and taught me accountability, all right? But have you ever been unaccountable? Do you think you can enhance, your accountability IQ can use some enhancement? If so, today's episode will shine a new light on how powerful accountability really is for your inner peace, happiness, and overall fulfillment in life. If we want to have this fulfillment, we have to cancel out the negativity within ourselves, minimize it as much as we can. And being unaccountable, I can attest that in the times that I was unaccountable, where I knew there was a possibility that I was wrong, I felt like crap. I didn't feel happy. I didn't feel peaceful. And I'm pretty sure that behavior affected the people outside of me as well, where they didn't feel it, right? Because we have to think about that. It's not just us when we think about accountability, and the benefits that we could gain from a deeper understanding. It's also about how that deeper understanding will apply to the people outside of us. So externally, accountability shapes how we show up in the world. A lack of accountability doesn't just stay inside of us. It negatively affects the people around us. That negative footprint can interfere with our relationships, our reputation, our opportunities, and even our long-term peace and happiness, right? Taken away from this wonderful experience, right? I was always taught that life can be hellish or life can be paradise, depending on the choices you make and your understanding of life and what you choose to make life for you, right? So, with today's episode, we're going to choose to make accountability and our understanding of accountability enhance our life, not take away from it. Okay. So it's quite simple. The plan is to first learn the information. Once we learn the information, the goal is to apply this information for at least 90 days straight. That way, we're hacking our brain. We're hacking the body like a computer hacker. We're hacking the body to say, hey, we did this thing 90 days straight. We were accountable 90 days straight. We want you to make this an automated habit in our personality traits. We want this to become a part of us. That's why it's important once we learn this information, we immediately apply it in our life as much as we can, right? We want to hurry up and get to a better us or a better version of ourselves, right? Because it's going to benefit us and it's going to benefit the people around us, right? So that's the goal. But I am so grateful to have you all here, all of my subscribers, all of my supporters. If you're new here, subscribe, like the channel. We have wonderful information that we are going to disseminate throughout, the rest of this year. We got another episode coming up called Emotional Intelligence, which I can't wait to get to, which will be our season finale for season 1 of No Self-Hate. But first, we must go through accountability. All right. So be sure to like this video and subscribe, so we can share this opportunity for growth and the other opportunities for growth we have on our channel with as many people as we can. There are some people out here right now suffering because they don't have the understanding or the knowledge that they need to navigate their paths. It is essential that you're sharing this information. Even if you're not sharing the video, you want to talk to people. Where you enhance yourself, you want to enhance the people around you, because all that's going to do is create beauty for all of us, as much as we can. Again, perfection is not the key, just effort in striving or a pursuit of excellence. All right. So let's accelerate the evolution of human emotional intelligence together. No self-hate. Let's get started. All right, everyone. Before we get started, let's relax. I want you to breathe. We are going to have to stand in the mirror and we are going to have to assess what we see. We want to be honest. We want to be fearless. We want to make sure that we are able to stand in that mirror, see the things that we need to improve in our accountability and improve it. All right. So just wanted you to get in the right mindset. I want you to have the determination to assert the effort necessary to learn and grow from this information and apply it in your life every day, if it fits you, right? So yeah, let's get started. All right, so what is accountability to you? When I think about accountability, I think about a lot of things. As a grown man, I have to be accountable to my family. I have to be dependable. I have to be reliable, right? At work, I have to be accountable to my job. I have to be accountable to my dreams, to my goals, to the success that I want, to the people in my life. And you know, these are the types of things that come to mind when I think about accountability. How about you? Um, Let us know. If you want to, you could drop something in the chat or in the comments. I always say that. We're going live soon, so don't worry about it. But yeah, drop some information in the comments, follow along, whatever works for you. Okay. You can take notes. But yeah, what is accountability to you? How do you feel about accountability? I know I've been hearing it for a very long time. Something I learned as a young child, but I never quite understood what it meant. Right. So let's fix that today. Obviously, I know what it means now, but there may be someone else out here that doesn't know exactly what accountability is, or someone that already knows and may just want to reinforce their knowledge or whatever, or just be entertained by today's episode. All right. So let's keep it moving. It's not the episode if I don't do that. All right. So, what is accountability? Accountability is the willingness and ability to take responsibility for your actions, decisions, and impact. So, the impact of those actions and decisions. Acknowledge the truth of what happened. Own the consequences. Repair harm when needed. And learn so it doesn't happen again. Right? So that's like a 5-step process if we think about it. So what I've just learned from this definition is accountability is your ability to, right, or willingness. You need to be willful, to take responsibility for your actions, decisions, and impact, and the impact of that. Acknowledging the truth, owning the consequences, and repairing the harm, and then learning so that this never happens again, right? You're about people that make the same mistakes over and over and over, right? Because normally it is my belief that there could be accountability issues there, right? My understanding of accountability has always been accountability minimizes victimhood. That's just my personal belief. So let me explain that to you. In situations where things go wrong, for example, if I'm on a basketball team and I'm playing basketball and we lose the championship game, I had a bunch of points, bunch of effort, and it says it on the stat sheet. And then I look around at my teammates and I look at what they have, and then, maybe they didn't do as great as I did, but they contributed, right? Or made contributions. But then I look at them and I say, hey, you guys are the reason we lost. I can't believe you guys, man. See, right there, I'm turning myself into a victim. I lost because of them, right? But if I just focus on accountability, and if these questions aren't true, I have to be accountable. One, did I have a perfect game? What is a perfect game? Even if I made all my shots, is that a perfect game? Obviously, number two, I was a collective part of this effort. So my efforts counted too, right? There was something I could have did that made it where the game wasn't so close, or the game wasn't, we didn't lose. There was something I could have done to make sure that didn't happen. That for me to know that, I would have to have all knowledge, which brings number three. Do I have all knowledge of this thing? And no. So in every situation that I'm involved in, good or bad, I'm able to start with self and see the accountability on my behalf. The thing that I could have done better in my relationships, job, school, conversations, working out, anything. I always start with self, right? Because I was a part of this thing. So I've been, I've become better with accountability just based off that. Now, that doesn't mean that there's no such thing as a victim. No, there are victims out here in the world, right? But for the sake of no self-hate, we're talking about self-victimization when it comes to accountability, right? I notice people who don't want to be accountable normally leverage the victim angle, right? I want you to pay attention to that. When you see people that are unaccountable, I want you to pay attention to the first stop that they take, which is normally victimhood in my experience. You did this or someone else did that. Okay? All right, so now we have a deeper understanding of accountability. Let's look at a few examples so we can, strengthen that understanding. All right, so number one, examples of accountability, personal accountability. All right, I lost my cool earlier. That wasn't for you. I apologize. I'll work on managing my stress more effectively. That is an accountable answer. Okay, that is a person that is emotionally intelligent. All right, being able to see the truth, not just from your side, but being able to put yourself in someone else's shoes and seeing how they may have saw that in what's the worst way could this thing make me feel if it were me, right? And then accountability is getting to that point and saying, hey, you know what? I see it from their view. I see how what I did made them feel that way, right? Then next up, we got to have that. That's the honesty piece. Then you see in this accountability where now it's the courage to say, man, I messed up. I may look bad if I admit this thing. If I tell the truth about this thing, I am going to look bad. Okay. That's just how it's going to work. Excuse me. Right? That's how it's going to work. But even though I may look bad, I must tell the truth. I see where I could have done better here. Right? And you want to take full accountability. It's sort of back a few episodes ago, we talked about how to properly apologize to someone. Right? You don't say, hey, I'm sorry if, you feel. How are you going to apologize for how someone feels? They can feel how they choose to feel. It's their choice. As human beings, we have to respect people and their choices, right? So we don't apologize and do half apologies or partial accountability. Partial accountability isn't real accountability. Right here is a perfect example of full accountability. All right. I lost my cool earlier. That's the truth. All right. That's a truth that you're choosing to share with someone else. That wasn't fair to you. If I were in your shoes, I would feel this wouldn't be fair. I apologize. Now here, I would have preferred, I'm sorry. I'll work on managing my stress more effectively. All right. Now, an unaccountable way of approaching this is you caused me to lose my temper. If you weren't so challenging, I wouldn't have reacted that way. You see, I'm a victim. In the unaccountable example, I'm a victim of you doing something that I lost control. I had no control of. You see how unaccountability is? It always looks outward first. It doesn't look inward. Inward. Right? It always looks out. And it's safe out there for people. As long as they don't have to stand in that mirror and go through that courage, go through that honesty, go through, the apology. I don't understand why is that so hard for us to do. Why can't we just apologize when we're wrong? What is that shame? I think by the end of this episode, we'll know exactly what's going on. All right, next up, The difference is accountability involves taking ownership of one's emotional regulation, self regulate, watch for the snake, of self hate, no self hate. All right. Unaccountability entails shifting the responsibilities onto others. Okay. In that example, that's the personal accountability. All right. So, again, relationship accountability. Now, I want you to think about the relationships in your life. And I want you to think about your level or your accountability IQ. What do you think that is, right? When you have disagreements, which, it may be your significant other, it can be wife, husband, whatever, boyfriend, girlfriend. When you have disagreements and things are your fault, are you accountable, right? I want you to think about that. That's an opportunity that we have to grow here and reflect and see, are we being accountable in our relationships, consistently accountable, right? So here in our relationship accountability example, we have, there we go. All right. I hurt your feelings. Thank you for telling me. I take responsibility and want to do better, right? Sometimes when we hurt people's feelings, sometimes what's the word I want to use here? It's like we don't want to look bad. We don't want to feel bad. We don't want to let that person down. So a lot of times when people tell us their feelings, we get defensive. We wonder like, why? Why do you feel that way? It must be your fault you're feeling that way. Oh well, those are your feelings. And I get why some people may feel that way, but me personally, when someone tells me their feelings, no matter what package they use to deliver it in, whether they're yelling, whether they're calm, whether they're, intoxicated, whatever, if someone shares how they feel about me with me, I try to listen to it, right? I can't view their feelings from my perspective. So technically, I don't have any credibility telling someone how they feel when they feel the way that they feel. My job as an accountable person is that when my family members, people tell me how they feel in my life, that I listen to them and I give them credibility for what they're saying. If that's what they choose to believe, regardless of whether I agree with it or not, I choose to allow them, or I choose to accept what they're giving me. And I don't discount it. I don't discredit it. I acknowledge it. And even if I don't understand how, I let down someone that I care about. That matters to me. So just at that point alone, one of the people that I love in my life told me that I did something to them to let them down. Whether I agree with them or not, I have to be accountable for letting them down. They just told me out their mouth that I let them down. So I need to find out how I let them down and work on not doing it again in the future because I care about this person, right? So the unaccountable way is outward. Remember, when you're unaccountable, you're looking outward first. Always look at self first in every situation. It's you. Look at yourself first. Never look outside of self first, because if you do, that is a highway to victimhood. Okay? So, you're too sensitive. It wasn't that serious. See this comment here alone, this unaccountable comment. You're too sensitive is a judgment. That's saying that, hey, my one preference in sensitivity, you're breaching it. You can't handle me letting you down or me doing wrong, right? You're too sensitive. And then it wasn't that serious. It's me discrediting how they feel. We don't know how people feel. We have to trust them to tell us, right? We have to trust them. I don't know how any one person feels without them sharing that information with me. And when they do, I have to give them credibility. I have to acknowledge it. I can't minimize it. They matter, and their happiness matters. So I have to accept that. All right, now the difference in the relationship example is validating emotions versus minimizing another person's emotional experience. All right, next up, work school accountability. All right, so I missed the deadline, no excuses. Here's what I'm doing to rectify the situation and ensure it doesn't happen again. A lot of us can learn from this in school and in work, whether you're working in, groups at school, or you're working on projects together at work, or you're working shoulder to shoulder with different people. We have to be more accountable, myself included, right? We have to be more accountable to each other's success. If you're working with someone you may not like, whether you like them or not, you all's success is being measured together. So if the goal is success, we must know how to maintain these relationships and be accountable, whether that's at work or at school, right? I missed the deadline. There's the honesty. No excuses. I could have achieved this thing. If I know I could have achieved this thing. No excuses, right? Here's what I'm doing to rectify the situation and ensure it doesn't happen again. Now, when we think about saying ensure it doesn't happen again, anything can happen in the world, right? There, I would say I will do my best to ensure it doesn't happen again, because anything can happen in this world. You don't want to, lock yourself into things that you can't keep up, because again, the bus you're on could break down on the way to school, or to work. You just want to let them know that you're going to take the extra steps, and prepare to be more successful in the future, right? That's accountability. All right, now unaccountability is, here we go again. When someone says something to you or accuses you of doing something to them, if you start off saying you're doing something wrong, you're a victim. Instantly, you're a victim. That is victim mentality. Sometimes, most of the times, that's victim mentality, right? And I don't think victim mentality makes us happy. So it's something that I think we should try to avoid. In this situation, looking at self first, you'll get it. All accountability is taking responsibility for your actions, decisions, and the impact of those actions. Okay. Finding solutions. All right. And always starting with self. Okay. Now, the difference here, accountability focuses on action and prevention, while unaccountability revolves around deflection and denial. Next up, we have leadership accountability for those that are in leadership positions, whether you're a parent, whether you work at a school as a principal, a teacher, whether you're the manager at your job, the director, the chief executive officer, anywhere that you are a leader, we must exercise accountability. All right. So here, accountability. The decision didn't produce the outcome we expected. I take responsibility as a leader. Now, a lot of leaders think that accepting responsibility and accountability makes them look weak. And I understand how society needs, creates this culture of we need someone to blame. And if you're not perfect, off with you, right? Most of the time, that's how it is. But in these situations of leadership, you are human. This idea of perfection is only in your mind. Okay? You don't have to be perfect. A lot of people won't be accountable so that they can maintain their perfect image or something. It's okay to admit when you're wrong. It's okay to admit when you fell short. Okay. Now, unaccountability for a leader would be the team didn't execute properly. If people had done their jobs, it would have worked. Now, what do you do in that situation? Even if this was true, but again, starting outward, not looking at self, the team didn't execute properly. If people had done their jobs, it would have worked. Well, what could you have done to ensure that they executed properly? If people had done their jobs, if you would have led them better, maybe there's some knowledge you're missing, maybe there's an approach you're missing, there's something you could have done to change the outcome here, right? I remember back in the day, and this may still be going on. Thinking about basketball, sometimes when players aren't playing great and they're on these bad teams, I remember a time where the coaches would be fired. Even if the coach was doing everything that they could, the coach would be fired, right? Because that's how we used to work. You're the leader. We understand you may have this group of people that you have to lead, but what kind of leader are you? We need an extraordinary leader for this group. And if you're not one, are you up to the challenge to becoming an extraordinary leader, right? So when we're in these leadership positions, whether your children are getting bad grades, whether your projects miss their deadlines, whether your classwork is always late, whether you're always late to class, whatever, right? At the leadership position, what could we have done to avoid this outcome? And are we that limited in our knowledge that these outcomes are involuntary, that we don't have control of these outcomes? Okay? So just think about that. Accountability in leadership. Whether you succeed or fail, people are going to look at you. Okay, that's what comes with the penalty of leadership. That's what comes with it. Okay, so think about that. You leaders out here, all of us are mostly leaders in our life. As far as whether we're parents, visionaries, whatever you may be. I'm not saying everyone is, but I believe a lot of people are. And in these positions, we have to know, because the more time we waste on being unaccountable, the less time we put into learning something and enhancing our knowledge of where we failed at. Failure is a teacher. I always said failure and pain are the best teachers in life. And maybe you want to throw experience in there. Failure, pain, and experience are the best teachers in life. You just can't get beat up by it when it happens. You got to learn, right? Pain. How do I avoid this pain going forward? If I can, if possible. Failure. What could I have done better? Experience. What did I learn? Okay. Difference between the two: stewardship and ownership versus scapegoating downward. Leaders who avoid accountability destroy trust rapidly. That is absolutely true. If your leadership is not able to execute on the same field that your soldiers are executing on, the soldiers will begin to question the leadership. If the leadership isn't always willing to go to where the soldiers are going, in on the front lines to doing what the soldiers are doing, your leadership can lose credibility. A lot of people think when they make it to these leadership positions in life, whether that's a parent, whether that's a boss, whether that's anything, that it's okay to relax. Oh, I got it made up here. I put my work in, right? And you could do that, but you are going to lose credibility at a rapid pace. And then you become one of those people that everybody's phony around. right? Everybody, oh, well, I can't say the truth around this person, or I can't do this around this person because they don't believe in your leadership. So leadership is important for accountability, for, open, just good vibes on teams. And, accountability is very important. Next up, examples of accountability. Intrapersonal accountability. All right. I avoided the truth because it was uncomfortable. I need to face it now. Right. In this example, we have a guy that's an older man. Maybe he was, and I don't know, maybe he was thinking, he could still go drop 40, on the basketball court. And, no matter how much his knees hurt, his back, shoulder, and elbow, he was still going out there hooping. And maybe one day he just came to the truth. Hey man, I might be too old to be doing this the way that I'm doing it right now. Don't mean that I can't do it, but the way I'm doing it right now, maybe I've run myself, maybe my course has run. I need to face that now. That's self-accountability, intrapersonal. Self-accountability. For another example, for accountability, you know what? I always get triggered when someone does this thing. Man, I need to stop doing that because I know that probably makes that person feel bad. And I don't want to make that person feel bad. And why am I so committed to doing this thing that makes this person feel bad? I need to stop doing this thing. I need to apologize and repair my relationship with this person because this thing that I'm doing, I don't even know why I'm doing. I don't even want to do it anymore. Right? Accountability, self-accountability. Oh man, I'm yelling sometimes. Why am I yelling right now? Like, ask yourself these questions. Hey, why am I angry right now? Oh, I'm angry because I didn't get my way. I'm angry because someone told me no. Right? So, intrapersonal accountability. Okay? Now, the unaccountable thing, there's nothing wrong with what I'm doing. People are just judging me. You out there hooping. You done failed 4 times. You the last one down the court. Everybody, saying you're lazy on defense. But you like, nah, there's nothing wrong with what I'm doing. My knee could hurt and I could take a break on one of the plays. I got to get back on defense. People, y'all just judging me. Y'all couldn't do what I'm doing. That's unaccountable. Right? Now, the difference is self-reflection versus protective denial. Internally, we don't want to feel bad so bad. Like, look at the extremes we go to as human beings to not feel bad. Think about that. We don't want to feel bad about ourselves. We will alter the truth to not feel bad about ourselves. Our brain will alter our perception of reality so that we don't feel bad about ourselves. Our brain is doing that. It's automated. It's protecting us. It thinks it's protecting us because we've taught our brain to protect us by hiding our truth from us, by hiding the mirror so we don't have to look in that mirror. Okay? All right. So what are the benefits of accountability? Why should we do this? What would we gain from enhancing our accountability IQ? Let's check it out. All right. So we would gain stronger relationships. People would trust us more, especially when we own our actions and we repair harm. And think about that, stronger relationships, meaning relationships that last a very long time. Whether that's a couple that's been married 50 years, friends that have been friends for 30, 40 years. They figured out ways to apply accountability and to repair harm and to take ownership of your actions, which a person began to depend on and could say, hey, even if that person messes up, even if my friend messes up, I can still depend on them to tell the truth, right? Think about that in your life. how many people in your life can you depend on to tell the truth and repair you when they've harmed you? Okay. Next up, inner peace. You stop hiding, lying, avoiding, and carrying guilt. The mind becomes calmer. This is what I was referencing earlier when I talked about how that negative footprint that you feel on your heart, like that negativity, that echoes whenever you're around people, whenever in your own mind, though, the thoughts that you have when you're around people, when you carry that guilt, in your heart doesn't allow you to lie to it, right? Your heart is going to feel the way that it feels, whether you're telling the truth or you're lying. Okay, so if you're lying, it's still going to feel like you should be telling the truth. That's the guilt, right? And guilt, walking around with guilt is a very uncomfortable emotion. I think we could benefit from carrying so much guilt, and that starts with our actions. Doesn't mean that our actions are going to be perfect. It means that when we are not perfect, we have to have the accountability to make these things right. So yes, I would love more inner peace, emotional maturity. Accountability builds regulation, humility, and honesty. Those are traits that I would like to have as a part of my personality. It looks like it's easier than carrying guilt, being dishonest, being unaccountable, being unregulated. This just seems like it's better. So that's another benefit I would love to have, and that we'll have the opportunity to gain by the end of this 5-part series. All right. Higher self-respect, taking responsibility strengthens identity, integrity, and confidence. And yes, this is absolutely true. As I continue to climb the accountability IQ ladder, I do feel a stronger sense of integrity within myself in the man that I've become, knowing that, whatever relationships I manage and maintain can count on me and depend on me to be what I present, right? There's integrity in that honesty, right? I'm going to the good. I have all types of friends. I have college friends, or people, or how about this? Associates, people that I know, college people, work people, people in my everyday life, whether that's going to get a haircut, all of this. I know all types of people. And across that spectrum of people, I'm preaching the same thing. No self-hate. Good. Being accountable. Sometimes my friends talk to me, or a lot of people that I know, because I don't like to throw friend around. I want that word to be a real thing. But a lot of people that I know talk to me about their relationships. And I'm telling them, what about you? Oh, this person did this or this person did that. What about you? Right? And once we all understand that taking responsibility strengthens our identity, it really feels great. You're really going to like it. It's hard, right? When we're unaccountable in certain situations, it's hard for us to just give in to accountability out of fear. But on the other side of that giving in, and we are accountable, you feel so great. Your heart feels so light. Your mind feels so clear. And it's a beautiful thing. You're not as emotional, right? Next up, personal growth. You learn from mistakes instead of repeating them, right? We think about recidivism, right? People that consistently go back and forth to the prison system because they're not learning from it. There's a possibility that they may not be learning from their mistakes. They're not growing. They're locked into a set way of believing, even if the results are negative, no matter how repeated those results may be. They're going back and forth, staying in this one box of self, normally it's from stuff that they were taught when they were younger. So the information that they've learned, the development of the information that they've learned has been arrested. They're not learning new things to mature, their knowledge. So you get locked into this box of believing these same things, right? So you're not learning from your mistakes. Accountability helps us learn. I was definitely wrong from that. How are you going to learn if you're unaccountable? How are you going to learn from a mistake that you don't think was a mistake? So if you don't think it's a mistake, you're going to feel like you don't have to learn from it, right? Right. Next up, reduce conflict. Clear ownership stops defensiveness, blame cycles, and drama. Okay? Remember what I said earlier. You have to trust the people in your life to tell you the truth about how they feel. And when they tell you that truth, you have to have the courage, you have to have the honesty, and you have to have the effort to want to fix that for them and be able to reduce the drama and the blame and the defensiveness. Defensiveness is ultimate victimhood. Someone gives you a critique and you get defensive. Well, I disagree. Well, first off, the first point is that's their opinion. So that's an opinion. So if someone insults you, that's an opinion. In order for an insult to be an insult, you have to accept it and agree with it. You have to make the choice and say, hey, what that person said to me, I am going to choose to feel insulted by it. Right? You have to accept that. And that's all in that victimhood category. Oh, you insulted me. You did something to me. Even if you said something to be an insult, I don't have to take it that way. Right? That's that strong mind. That's where we're trying to go. Where your mind is impenetrable except for what you want to penetrate it. Right? Your brain, your thoughts. Okay? Reduce conflict. You got a relationship you're always arguing in? I'm willing to bet some accountability is missing somewhere. And then if you concerned yourself with your accountability at a high level, and I did my accountability at a high level, there's no need to point fingers. You're doing the work on your own. I'm doing the work on mine. I just need to know when you think I need to be accountable. And I need to process that. And then I start working on my accountability. I don't need to tell you exactly how to do or what to do for your accountability. That's why it's about self. It's no self-hate, right? Not no other people hate. No. We don't hate anyone because within self, we don't hate self. If self is human, I'm surrounded by humans. We learned in what is self-hate, if I hate humans or have constantly justified hating humans, I am a species level self-hater. So I can't hate the humans and the people around me because I'm a human. I love me and I love being human. Right? Okay, so remember, reduce conflict. Think about it. Accountability. Right? I know. The legal system, people take accountability. People get, took to the bank sometime and, get sued out of their pants. All of that stuff. We're talking about self-accountability. Within self, within you. No self-hate is about you or it's about me. It's about us. It's about we. We're bossing up together in front of each other. Individually. All right. Better decision making. You make wiser choices because you understand your patterns. Yes. When I know my triggers, when I know my habits, I know my tendencies, I'm able to make better decisions based off that information of self, right? Could you imagine something only being aware of the outside world and not being aware of the inside world? Could you imagine that? Next up, healthy boundaries. Accountability teaches you what behavior is acceptable and what is not. Social respect and credibility. People admire those who can admit mistakes and make things right. Yes. Yes. I have so much respect for people that can own their stuff and stand, as we used to say, stand in your own stuff. Be able to stand in your own stuff. We'll give you an opportunity to get it off you, but be able to stand in your own stuff first. Show us that you see what we see. All right? And when people, you know how rare that is in society. So when you find people that are great or have high accountability IQs, it's a pleasure. It's an honor to be around people with high accountability IQ. Okay? Last but not least, freedom. When you're accountable, you're not trapped by lies, excuses, or the fear of being exposed. Wow. Let's talk about that one for a minute. When you're accountable, you're not trapped by the lies, excuses, or the fear of being exposed. How many of us right now in this world are in the fear of being exposed? How many of us are trapped by lies and excuses and failure? I freed myself. I freed me from me. I had myself captured in my own mind. I was being oppressed in my own mind by my own actions and my lack of accountability. Me running from self, me running from my decisions. As a man, I have to accept my decisions and live with them. Be willing to live my entire life with them. Right? They're mine. They're my decisions. Right? But I do remember when I was running from me. It was full of lies, deceit, darkness, evil, in my opinion. It's looking like evil is being normalized. And, I'm from an era where evil existed, but it wasn't normalized. And what do I mean by evil? Negativity. At the root of evil is negativity. Right? So I do remember when I was keeping that within myself. Lying to this person, lying to that person. Got to remember this lie so that I could tell this lie. And this lie almost failed, but this one made it. A week later, I forgot I told that lie. Oops, I meant this. Or just the whole, and we don't want to use that word, the whole bondage of self-deceit. The bondage of self. Like, I have to think this way. Like, I didn't have a choice but to think this way and be this way. Be a dishonest human. But no. Once I experienced freedom, I just told the truth about everything in my life. I didn't care what people thought. I learned that my truth is my truth. It's my existence. And you may not like some of the stories that happen with it. And I'm okay with that. But should I be ashamed of speaking my truth because you may not like it? That seems like prison. Imagine me being fearful of telling my truth, so much so that I've imprisoned my own self within my mind, and I'm not able to express my truths in life. Some of us are out here like that right now, harboring these secrets. Oh, this person didn't know I did this. Or, oh man, I'm going to keep doing this, and, harboring these secrets. And some people, you go through that phase where you think it's cute. Ah, this person doesn't know I'm doing this, or this person doesn't know I'm doing that. And you feel good, right? But that's just you turning a prison into paradise. Free yourself. Tell your truth. Free yourself. You deserve to be free. I've been operating in truth ever since I freed myself. I refuse to tell people a lie. On some masculine stuff, I figure if I have to lie to you, I'm scared of you. I fear you if I have to lie to you. If I have to lie to myself, I fear me. I had to take that power back. I'm honest with myself first, then I'm honest with the people in my life. Now, in our last episode of communication, we know that there's a certain way we have to deliver honesty. We have to have empathy and, operate with care in our delivery of honesty. But I'm honest. What's someone going to do? Like, what? Yeah, I made this mistake. I'm sorry it made you feel bad. I have accountability. I'm sorry it made you feel bad. I'm genuinely sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm willing to do these things to show you that I am sorry. And you are not obligated to accept me back. I just want to do it out of good faith so that you know that I am genuinely sorry. No matter what your final decision is in this situation. Accountability. All right. Okay. So we know the benefits now. And a lot of those benefits, I don't know about you, I would love to have, right? So now that we understand the definition of accountability, we went through a few examples. So we got some real time to see exactly what it means. And then we went over the benefits, which I don't know about you. Again, I like these benefits. I am open to these benefits. So I will be pursuing the information so that I can apply more knowledge to my accountability IQ so that I can raise my accountability IQ. I've made the choice at this moment from the things that we've seen, right? So now, what are the requirements for accountability? What do I need to do to achieve a higher accountability IQ at this moment, or to begin to work on my accountability IQ? How do I become more accountable today? Is what this next section will cover. All right. All right. So, number one, if I wanted to become more accountable today, which I do, I am going to apply truthfulness, accurate fact acknowledgement. What it means, it involves expressing what truly occurred without any alterations. Okay? So when I witness something, I have to fight bias, confirmation bias, cognitive dissonance. I have to fight these things so that I'm able to focus on what exactly happened. I can't go into processing what happened, trying to clear myself of blame. I have to go into this process knowing that I could be the blame for this. So it's a more of an objective look at a situation as opposed to a subjective look or view or perspective that would only benefit me. So, for example, I did say that, yes, I missed the meeting, right? Why it matters. Truth serves as the cornerstone of accountability. When truth is disregarded, every subsequent action becomes either incomplete or dishonest. Okay? Truth serves as the cornerstone of accountability. And we wonder now you're looking at accountability and you have a deeper understanding. You see the world now? You see what's happening? You see us? How much truth is available? Right? And truth is the cornerstone of accountability. What can we assume there? That if people don't have the truth of self first before anything else, that truth will no longer be the cornerstone of society. Not just accountability, but society. Right? So individually, we have to work on ourselves. We can't worry about the next man. Can't worry about the next woman, next child. Everyone must take this no self-hate journey, of working on self. All energy and all effort has to go to improving inner self. You see the plan now? You see the no self-hate plan? Right? If everyone's focused on improving their self, the processes will improve. The leaders will improve. The government will improve. Again, perfection is not the key. We have a long way to go. As I told you previously, if you're watching No Self-Hate, you're about, I said 20 to 50 years. I want to say 50 to 100 years ahead of the emotional intelligence, or the importance of an emotional intelligence for the world. Just by you watching these videos with me. Does it make us better? It just gives us a better understanding of ourselves and how we could leverage that understanding to enhance our peace, our happiness, and overall our fulfillment in life. Okay? Next up, ownership of role and behavior. What it means. Clearly and directly stating your actions or choices. If someone said you're yelling and you say, no, I'm not. This is how I normally talk. No, it's not. That's unaccountable. Be able to say, you're right. In that moment, recover. You know what? You're right. I was coming off a little hot. I hear myself too. I was coming off a little hot. I raised my voice. Okay? I own that. So that's the ownership of role and behavior. Another example, I didn't follow through on what I agreed to, breaking contracts. Not, well, you did this, so I didn't have to do that. No. If you have a contract or an agreement, your agreement must have integrity and honor. So you must uphold that agreement. Right? And when you don't, you have to be able to be accountable for when you don't uphold those agreements. Your word should mean something. My father used to tell me, my word should weigh more than a pyramid. Right? My word should weigh more than a pyramid. I want you to think about that. Okay? Now, why it matters. Taking ownership eliminates deflection and stops blame shifting. Without this accountability, it becomes an illusion rather than a call to action. So without this accountability, it becomes an illusion rather than a call to action. Okay? You must take accountability. Ownership. All right? Truthfulness and ownership. Next up, acknowledgement of impact. When you've hurt someone and they're crying, you can't have a position of, well, I didn't do anything. Clearly you did. Whether it was intentional or unintentional, the person has made the choice to take what you did in a way that makes them cry, whether that was your intent or not. Acknowledge the impact. What it means. Understanding how your actions have influenced someone on an emotional, social, or practical level. For example, I realize that my words hurt you. Since I didn't keep you informed, you were unable to prepare, right? Be able to acknowledge the impact. My words hurt you. I said my words, which was the action. The impact was that these group of words, or this combination of words that I chose hurt you. See that? So again, if we want to seize this opportunity for growth, we know being more truthful, we know having ownership of our actions, understanding and acknowledging the impact of our actions will enhance our accountability IQ. Right? Remember, we're not victims. We are not victims. The only thing we're a victim of is self. Okay? The only thing we become victims of is self. Right? Now, again, that's not saying that victims don't exist in the world. There are some situations where there are real victims. Agreed, 100%. But again, this is self-victimhood. Okay? All right, why it matters. Individuals seek acknowledgement of their experiences rather than your intentions. Recognizing the impact of your action helps restore dignity. Again, people, they're not looking for your intent. I say that all the time. We talked about that in the other episodes. I think that was that communication? I believe so. Where we say that your intent must align with your actions. And when they don't align, intent never weighs more than actions. Your actions are the heaviest thing you have. That's why it's important for intent to align with that. Because people don't seek acknowledgement. Don't seek your intentions. They seek acknowledgement of what you put them through, or what they choose to believe about what you put them through. And we have to acknowledge that. Again, we have to give people credibility and trust them to tell us how our actions impacted them. Next up, answerability, explanation without justification. Okay? What it means. It involves clarifying the reasons behind a behavior while taking full responsibility for it. Right? You're not justifying it. Right? You could say, I responded hastily because I felt pressured. This was unfair to you. Right? You're just clarifying it. You're not saying, oh, well, I did it because I felt pressured, and then that's it. No, that's your own feelings that went on in your own mind, in your own world. That pressure you created came from inside. It came from within. How can you blame someone else for that pressure that you chose to feel? So I responded hastily because I felt pressured. This was unfair to you. Right? Answerability. When sometimes people say, why'd you do this thing? You don't have to justify it to answer it. You can answer it without justifying it. All right? Why it matters. Providing context helps prevent confusion. Taking responsibility ensures that context is not used as an excuse. Answerability merges clarity with honesty. Okay? Keep that in mind. It's okay to have a certain level of answerability. People can question you. If you're in your life and you're the highest on the totem pole in your life as far as who could tell you the truth about you, you're doing something wrong. Okay? Let me say that again. In your life, if no one can come to you and give you criticisms or tell you their observations, you're doing something wrong. We have to depend on our friends, our family, to tell us what we can't see. So if the goal is self-preservation, I need all the resources I can about me to help me self-preserve. Ooh, this high level. Let's keep moving. This is high level, but I just hope you understand that. The importance of feedback from the people around you, right? And them having positions. You're not always going to be on top. You're not always going to have the leverage. And accountability is knowing when you don't and being able to be in that position. That position of where there's no leverage, where the other person may have the edge up. That's accountability, okay? Remedy or repair. What it means. Taking clear actions to restore or mend what has been damaged. This is the piece. We have to do this. We have to remedy stuff. We have to fix things when things go wrong. For example, I'll correct the document and rescind it. Maybe you sent a document that had a typo in it, right? I'll speak directly to the person affected. Hey, someone told me this thing happened to them and you were responsible. Okay, no worries. I'll go talk to the person, apologize, and make this thing right. Okay? Repair transforms an apology into a meaningful act of restoration. It helps to rebuild both emotional and practical trust. There must be emotional trust in your relationships where people can trust you to observe their vulnerabilities emotionally without you turning your back on them, without you not caring. That's accountability. Whether you like it or not, your actions make other people feel. Whether you like it or not, the way they feel matters. If the goal is emotional intelligence, if the goal is accountability, we're humans. How intelligent is it when a human is aware of self and aware of those around him, or he or she? How intelligent is that? How intelligent is it to be able to feel the pain of others that you've caused? Where you could only touch yourself and your skin is what you feel physically. But there's a superpower. There's an opportunity for a superpower there. For you to be able to pick up how you make others feel. And when you create situations that create this negativity or this misery in others' lives, having the courage, having the honor, having the integrity to remedy and repair it shows exceptional emotional intelligence. Next up, change and prevention commitment. What it means. This involves expressing a commitment to ensure that similar harm does not happen again. We was talking about recidivism, right? Recidivism, when inmates keep ending up back in prison, right? Think about that. When we cause harm, it shows that you are a disingenuous person if you apologize for something and it keeps happening, right? Something's going wrong there. When you genuinely make a mistake that you did not intend to make, I'm not talking about intentional ones, but the ones you didn't intend to make, you should have no issue with never repeating that thing again. All right. So, for example, next time I'll consult before making that decision. I say that a lot, right? In my professional life, I may, do something and maybe I should have checked with the team or had a second pair of eyes on it. And I didn't do it. I was just rushing or something. And I put something out and it has a flaw in it. An unnecessary flaw that if someone else had maybe caught it, I would have been good to go, right? This thing wouldn't be overshadowed by this minor flaw. I have to be able to be honest and, oh, you know what? To make sure that doesn't happen again, I am going to send all of my emails to one of my friends. It's like a peer review. I am going to send one of my emails to one of my friends to look at it to see what they think, right? You got AI now to help out with that, but you still want to get a human to take a look at it because AI doesn't feel necessarily. It can make suggestions, but still, peer review. Hey, check this before I send this out, right? I implement that process. I don't make that mistake as often anymore, right? Long as I have discipline to that process, to that routine. Okay. Another one is I'm setting reminders to ensure deadlines are met. There you go. Or I'm turning on notifications so that I hear whenever you reach out to me. Right? Implementing that change and prevention commitment. All right? Why it matters. If no changes are made, accountability may appear insincere. Emphasizing prevention demonstrates a genuine intention to grow and avoid repeating past mistakes, which the people outside of you can begin to trust you more. That when you make mistakes, Kevin made a mistake, but you know what? I know him. He's going to fix it. Don't worry. He's not that type of person. He understands accountability. He understands how to implement change and prevention commitment. And we could trust him to do that. We want to be able to trust you and everyone else we deal with, right? Next up, follow through. This is huge. Very important to follow through. What it means: closing the loop by completing what you promised. Here are some examples. Here's the revised version I said I'd deliver, right? The issue is fixed. I confirmed with the team. So closing the loop. Yeah, you said that I was raising my voice. I've been keeping track of it. This is day 7 of me not raising my voice. I just want you to know that I'm working on it and I will continue to work on it. But I hope you're happy with the improvements that I'm making because I don't want to see you in that position again. All right? Why it matters. Follow through creates integrity. Without it, apologies become hollow and meaningless. Okay? Apologies become hollow and meaningless without follow through. All right, next up, transparency. What it means: being open and keeping others updated on status, progress, and resolutions. That's basically what we were just saying. The follow through assists the transparency of information and effort and progress and status. We talk about this in project management all of the time. Where you have to constantly update the stakeholders on your status, your progress, your solutions for any problems or anything that pops up. That transparency, right? So for example, here's what I've accomplished and what still needs attention. Even if you haven't finished everything, even if the deadline has come for a project and you haven't finished everything, a week before that deadline, you should have been able to gauge whether or not you would be able to get that thing done. Okay? If you weren't, and let's just say somehow it snuck up on you that you weren't going to meet your deadline, you have to say, hey, here's what I've accomplished. This is accountability. Here's what I've accomplished, and here's what still needs to be done. All right? So why it matters. Transparency safeguards relationships by eliminating uncertainty. It helps restore psychological and emotional safety. Think about, I'm getting a house built, right? Let's say hypothetically. I'm getting a house built from the ground up. I've hired contractors. They're not giving me status updates. They're not giving me progress updates. I've heard about some problems. They haven't communicated what the solution was for those problems, how much it's going to cost. Could you imagine how unsafe you would feel dealing with that situation psychologically and emotionally? Not having that transparency. You're spending your hard-earned money. This may be your dream house. A lot's riding on this. And the contractors aren't being transparent about the process. Right? We think about this in video games. These companies have these video games where they don't have the transparency on whether the code is manipulating children and people into playing the game more. They don't have transparency on all of the tricks they have in the game to make you spend more money, or in the code to spend more money. Do you trust those type of organizations? I don't. Those corporations that may have a video game that your child is playing that has borderline predatory or manipulative, almost gambling level code in it to extract money out of your child's pocket or out of your pocket via your child. But they'll never come out and tell you that. They'll never come out and say, hey, every time you play a good game, there's a piece of code in here that takes away some of your attributes so you can experience a bad game, and then you're going to want to go make a new player. They can't say that, because if they did, they wouldn't make the money that they make, right? So you don't psychologically or emotionally feel safe dealing with these types of organizations. And the manipulation and the effect that it's having on your children due to this lack of transparency, it's borderline criminal, in my opinion, right? So transparency is very important. Proportionate consequences, what it means. Accepting logical, reasonable outcomes of your actions, not punishment. For example, since my delay caused others to work late, I'll stay and complete my portion now. Right? That's not a punishment. That's accountability. You left a gap. You just don't leave that gap and leave others to fill that gap when they have gaps to fill on their own. No. If I have to stay late at work to fix this thing, I have to stay late and because I wasn't here to make everything go the way that it was supposed to. Why should my mistake fall on the back of someone else where they have to carry it? No, I'm accountable. I'll carry my own mistakes. I will right my own wrongs. I can't trust anyone else to do that. Not even trust. I shouldn't put anyone else in that position to have to do that. Right? Next up, I will be the one to correct the misinformation. Okay? If you got some people put information out here all the time about people on YouTube, on social media, and they have so much energy when they're putting out this misinformation. But when the information is debunked, you don't see too many efforts for people to come out and say, you know what? I was wrong about that. I made a mistake. I was just putting the information out. I didn't confirm it. I was just trying to get some clicks. I was just trying to get some money. And it was such a hot story, I just ran with it. And then you find out it's not true. There's no video that pops up letting us know that you take accountability for that mistake. It used to be like that. There was a day, and I don't want to sound like the old guy in the room. There was a day when journalism was highly respected. Like, your ethics in journalism really mattered back in the day. Right? So now we have YouTube. We have all of these ways to get out here and deliver and disseminate information, but we don't necessarily have the rules of the road that were developed to make sure that we stay ethical in our practices. We're accountable when we do things wrong, so on and so forth. Right? So why it matters. Accountability without consequence is incomplete. Consequence shows the issue had weight. There must be consequence with accountability. Some people think, oh man, I take accountability for that. Yeah. And then you give them a consequence, they say, man, that's why you doing that? I said I took accountability, I apologize. No, that's insincere. That's disingenuous. We learned this today. It's disingenuous for us to take accountability and not entertain or accept the consequences that come with it. Humbly, with humility, understanding that this isn't punishment. This is not punishment. Accountability is not punishment. I did something wrong and I want to make it right. I don't care if you don't care whether or not I make it right. If I did something wrong, I do appreciate you forgiving me and letting me slide. But at a personal level, I want to make this thing right. That's accountability. All right. Proportionate consequences. All right. Again, we follow these requirements, we enhance our accountability, IQ, over time. We practice it for 90 days, it becomes a habit that our mind automates and makes part of our personality. Okay? So be ready to apply this. If you need to watch the video a few times, please do. All right? Look at this. Apply this information. Okay? Next up, emotional acceptance. Last but not least, what it means. Emotional acceptance involves acknowledging discomfort without succumbing to collapse, defensiveness, or a victim mentality. Okay, say that again. Emotional acceptance. Me accepting that I feel bad, that I made someone feel bad, and not collapsing or becoming defensive when I find out I made someone feel bad, because what they say matters. Not becoming a victim, not looking at them first and pointing the finger. Emotional acceptance, right? An example is, this is uncomfortable, but I take responsibility for it. That humility. I remember I had a job. It was one of my first jobs in my profession. And I mean, I was around the office. Man, I thought I was the hottest thing there. I had, suits and wearing shirt and tie every day. And I was a favorite there for the ladies, like me, they kind of liked me. And I was in there moving unethically, unethical. And it got back to the boss. I don't like that word. Let's take that back. It got back to the CEO, Chief Executive Officer. And he pulled me into his office, and he was planning to take us on a trip. And he was going to take us to, I think, New Orleans. And we have been talking about this trip all this time, but when he got word that I was performing unethical, this is, again, my first job in the office. He said, and he basically said, hey, look, you're in here performing, in a way that I think lacks professionalism. I said, okay, I agree. And what you said is exactly true. And I take accountability for what I did. And I thought that was going to be it. See, I was too young to understand that the consequence that comes with it, right? I was too young to understand, and he told me later, well, you know what? You can't go with us to New Orleans. I'm about to get my money back for your ticket. And I was so hurt. Man, I was so hurt because I had an image. I thought I was, special. And I remember that humility that situation taught me, that while half of the office was gone to New Orleans, where we were supposed to go, I'm around there with everyone else that, didn't go. And they're all looking at me, laughing and chuckling. And I got to walk around there and still come to work every day, still stand up, and, get through the thing. When everybody got back, they was talking about how much of a good time they had, and, oh, I missed this and I missed that. And I had to sit through all of that. But I bring that example up because it teaches me humility. It teaches me, even though I was uncomfortable in this situation because of my actions, I'm not going to quit because I feel discomfort. I emotionally accept how I feel and how my actions led to me feeling this way. That accountability. Okay? Why it matters. Embracing emotional maturity fosters accountability and paves the way for healing. Without emotional acceptance, accountability can devolve into guilt avoidance, victimhood, we talked about that, defensiveness, performative apologies. Oh, you ever had a discussion with someone about something they may have done to you, and you're trying to convince them that you feel the way you feel about what they've done to you, and then they're trying to convince you that their intent wasn't that, and that, regardless of what the actions was, the intent wasn't that. And you're like, what? Well, wait, this is how you made me feel. They're like, well, no, I didn't. And then eventually they give up and say, you know what? Hey, I'm sorry. Whatever. I'm sorry. Right? That's a performative apology. Okay? They haven't emotionally accepted the discomfort from their actions. I mean, the discomfort they feel from their actions for what they did to you and you bringing it to them. They can't handle the weight of that. They collapse under it. Okay? I want you to be strong enough to handle the weight of your actions and the impact that it had on others. Don't fold under that. Don't avoid guilt. If you're guilty, get it away from you as fast as humanly possible. The only way to get rid of guilt is to tell the truth, apologize, and fix the situation. It'll help you avoid victimhood. I don't know why people are so happy being victims. It is the strangest. Imagine a play and they're giving out roles. You got the lead role, you got the co-star, you got this and that, and then you got these roles called victims. Imagine signing up for the victim role every time when you could have had the lead role, when you could have been a co-star. I just don't understand that mentality. Okay? So have the emotional acceptance to know, man, I messed up here. I know it doesn't feel good. It's uncomfortable. But I messed up here. I have to stand in this and make this right. I have to have humility. Right? Defensiveness. If you find yourself defensive when someone tells you something, defensiveness is a cousin of victimhood, in my opinion. Why are you so offended? Again, in order for an insult to be an insult, I have to accept an insult. In order for a lie to be a lie, to me, I have to accept it as the lie to me. I don't have to acknowledge that lie. I don't have to acknowledge that insult. That's your opinion. I reject the handshake of that insult. An insult requires a handshake. They stick their hand out. In order for it to be an insult, you have to shake that hand back. Right? Stop being defensive. If the goal is to improve our accountability IQ, don't give performative apologies. Man up, woman up, girl up, boy up. Acknowledge the impact of your actions. When they're wrong, fix. Apologize sincerely. Be a genuine person, not a disingenuous person. Don't get frustrated because people may not see things the way you want them to see them. If wrong is wrong. And if you're wrong, have the courage to stand in it. All right? True transformation necessitates emotional tolerance. You must have emotional tolerance. Okay? Must be able to handle these tough situations without collapsing under victimhood and running off like mice in a room when you cut the light on. Stand in the light. Because more than likely, you turned the light on. All right. I know we talked a lot today. Hope you were able to follow today's information. Next up, we have our accountability summary. I won't read all of this, but I just want to put it up here so you know. I want you to know the bottom line from today's episode is accountability is not just saying sorry, it's doing something different afterwards. Accountability is not us running to victimhood or defensiveness or guilt avoidance or all this pacification stuff when we're wrong. Accountability is having the courage to stand in that mirror and tell self you were wrong and you need to fix it. What you did made who we love feel this way, and that is not right. Okay? So have the courage to be accountable. What accountability requires? Tell the truth, own your actions, acknowledge the impact, make it right, change the behavior, follow through. Why does it matter? Because we want to rebuild trust. We want to strengthen our relationships. We want to stop the recidivism of self-imprisonment. And we want to continue to grow within our time. Our time is finite. We don't have forever. Let's enhance. The more we enhance, the greater things become. All right. Next up, we got the No Self-Hate apparel. Young man told me, and I don't drop names on here, but a young man told me, he said, Kevin, I went to the site. He's like, man, that hoodie was $100. I said, oh man, I'm going to work on the prices for you. Right. I take accountability regardless of what I think my brand should be. I also want my brand to be able to be affordable for all that needs it. The brand is the brand. No Self-Hate will carry No Self-Hate. It doesn't have to be reflected through the prices. So to the young man that said something to me about that, we'll go to the site. We'll make some changes on there. Again, I got to also consider the overhead stuff that we have going on, but I will do my best to meet you where you are. Okay? And with that being said, visit NOSELFHATE.com. I want to thank you all. Like, subscribe, share, comment. I don't get many comments on my videos. I get it. We're talking about some tough stuff. All right? But for those of you that have the courage, put your information out there. Talk to us. Share your perspective with us. Okay? Until our next episode, I am signing off. You have a wonderful, beautiful, blessed, happy rest of your day. All right? Peace.